This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Bob's with us now from the Democrat-Gazette. What's up, Bob? How you doing today? Happy day one of NFL draft. Do you celebrate?
Well, hopefully the Packers will get some good picks. I mean, we moved up a little bit, a couple of spots with the Aaron Rodgers trade, and so I'll definitely keep an eye on, where Razorbacks go and how the Packers are doing. And, just SEC guys. There's always a ton of SEC guys go. It seems like the first round almost looks like a SEC all-conference team or something.
How many Razorbacks you see going in this draft? Maybe not one in the first round, although I do think a grade. I'd give Drew Sanders a first-round grade. Do you think we could have 5 Razorbacks picked in this year's draft?
I think it's possible. I mean, I'm with you. I think Drew Sanders, I'm no expert, but I'm just going by what I read in the draft projections. Drew Sanders looks like, projected as a second-round pick, but he could slip into the first round. What's that saying? It only takes one team to really like you.
That's
and we
right.
know a lot of these teams aren't going to be honest with media people. They're going to try to mislead them. If they really like a certain player, they're not going to tell a reporter, "Oh, we love that guy," or whatever. So, but yeah, I think Drew Sanders definitely will be picked. Like Ricky Stromberg will be picked. Although centers, I don't know if this is fair or not. Traditionally, you don't see centers picked super high. It's obviously the offensive tackles. The line, Ricky's, will go somewhere in the draft. I've heard you guys just talk about Matt Landers. I agree that he's got a lot of talent. He's got that speed. And you can't coach speed, and he made some big plays. And began his career in the SEC, came back and was productive in the SEC last year for Arkansas. I think he's a case of a guy who decided to play in the bowl game. I'm not on guys who didn't play in the bowl game, but he's a guy I think who really helped himself by having a big Liberty Bowl. And, he was willing to go to Georgia's pro day and help his old quarterback Stetson Bennett. That's just getting yourself out in front of more eyes and seeing folks and stuff. So, and you're right, especially all these guys are going to have to play on special teams. When you have a 53-man roster, Drew Sanders is probably going to play on special teams, and I think, Jaden Hazelwood will have a shot. Is that 5 or how many is that?
Yeah, you got your 2 offensive linemen. It's Ricky Stromberg and there's another offensive lineman.
Wagner.
I think
Wagner.
Yeah, both of those guys can play on Sundays.
Yeah, Dalton's got great size, and he's got what I would really love if I was picking offensive lineman. Is he's got a ton of experience. I mean, a 6-year guy, went through a lot at Arkansas, some good times, some tough times earlier in his career. Great attitude. I don't know if he's picked, he's probably a late round guy, but I think he's not picked, he'd have a shot to sign as an undrafted free agent and join a team. And there are probably some other guys in there too. But yeah, I think Arkansas's got a shot to have 4 or 5 guys drafted.
What do you make of the spectacle that the draft is, Bob? I think this day tonight is probably the biggest
pomp and circumstance
day in off-season sports, in any off-season sport in the United States, and it's bigger than the NBA first round. The NFL is just more popular. I put the NBA first round draft, day as the second biggest day in the off season in professional sports. Because, this is how these leagues sort of become 24-hour, 12-month a year, 365-day a year cycles. We talk about the draft the entire year, and it all leads to today. And man, it's amazing to think about. People literally are talking about this day for the last 364 days since the draft ended. This is the biggest day in the off season of any sport in the United States.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Roger Goodell or his marketing people or ESPN and the NFL Network or who, but yeah, somebody, or probably more than one person, deserves credit for making it such a gigantic spectacle, like I think you said. I remember when I was in college, hopefully people remember Kellen Winslow, Hall of Fame tight end. He played at Missouri. He was a first-round pick by the Chargers of the top 10. I remember me and a couple other reporters, we went to his apartment on draft day. He got picked, and we interviewed him. I'm not kidding you. And this is 1978, I think. or it would have been a 79 draft. I mean, and now, and I talked to Jeff King the other day for the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame story. Jeff was the number one baseball pick. He was his home in Colorado Springs. I think most people thought he'd be picked number one. The Pirates called him. He got picked. He said there was not one media person there. I think he did a presser a few days later when he went to Pittsburgh to sign and stuff or whatever. And I mean, so obviously you watch the MLB draft, and they do it at the studios there in wherever it is in New Jersey, Taniak or Secaucus or someplace wherever the MLB studios are. And they made that a bigger deal. And obviously the NBA draft, they now have it at different arenas. It's at the Barclays Center this year. But the NFL, I mean, they took it from doing it in like big theaters. Now they take it to cities and do it outside. So you have, I think was it Nashville last year? And there's like 100,000 people jammed into a few blocks of downtown. And now it's in Kansas City. And of course, the Chiefs are the Super Bowl champions, and they're going to be doing it down there at Union Station. I think is where they're going to do it. And it's just, it's great for the cities because it just brings in all. I mean, obviously you have a lot of local interest, but I think a lot of people, just come in for the spectacle of it all. And so you're making tons of money for the cities, in terms of having a big event, and they bring back former players, or maybe sometimes they have fans. People who serve their country get to announce the picks, which is kind of cool. And you're right; it's a way for the NFL in the off season. I mean, everybody's been talking about the draft for months, and then they're going to start talking about free. I mean, what have been the big stories the last few days? Aaron Rodgers getting traded to the Jets, the draft. And then it's going to be, what about all these guys? That got picked. Where do they fit in? Price and draft day trades, other free agent signings, and on leading into training camp. And the NFL is just a big marketing machine, is what it gets down to.
Bob, the draft seems to ebb and flow with the different positions that they prioritize from year to year. This year, it seems like a lot of tackles, a lot of D-backs, a lot more D-backs than I've seen. What do you think the hardest position to evaluate is when you're looking at, when you see these high school kids play and you watch them play? What do you think the hardest position to evaluate is? Besides quarterback.
Well, okay, I was going to say quarterback because you see so many first-round picks that don't
yeah,
work
that's what I was talking with Phil. It's probably half and half, But other than quarterback, we all know quarterback's just a weird science.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question because everybody wants the quarterback, and then they got to have the quarterback to, and they got to have the tackles to protect the quarterback. And they have the edge rushers to get after the quarterback, and you got to have the lockdown. Of course, I'm going to say maybe an interior line, like a Jalen Carter. Who, some people put a number one overall draft grade on him, and some people have him lower in the round. Of course, you have the Carr accident situation with Georgia. I don't think that's going to scare teams off from drafting them. It didn't show very good judgment, but. I think maybe because obviously, you want a run stopper in there. You want a guy that's going to, take up blockers and free your linebackers, but you also would love to get a guy who gets some push and get pressure on the quarterback. So I'm just going to say like an elite interior defensive lineman because maybe depending on where he played college ball, maybe he was just able to physically dominate the offensive lineman he went against. And obviously, if there's somebody who's looking at high, he went to the combine, he went to a Senior Bowl, whatever, went against some other good people. But to me, that would just be such a tough combination. A guy that's got the strength to play inside, but also can get after the quarterback. So I guess to me, that would be really hard to evaluate. And you sort of have to put potential in there too, depending on what the scheme was in college. And of course, college teams are passing a whole lot more than they used to, so NFL teams for that matter. But I think that would probably be my hardest value after a quarterback.
Matt, I feel like Bob just described the exact reason why John Ridgway transferred from Illinois State to Arkansas. So that it was to put on, it was to show what he could do at a level like this. I mean, nobody was going to buy the idea that he was dominant. You're
playing Alcorn State; they don't really care. They want to see you go up against the other guys because you're looking up here. Georgia has 3, 4, 5 first round. SEC, like Bob just said, every other pick's going to be an SEC player.
Hey, Bob, what about the baseball series that starts tonight? An interesting side note of Arkansas and A&M is the fact that these teams have played 90. I'm looking at 102 games in their all-time history, and the all-time series is even 46-46. So a series that goes back to 1974, the teams are split right down the middle at 500 against each other, and both are dealing with starting pitching that has been kind of hot and cold in the SEC right now. You see Arkansas's got their issues with starting pitching, and the Aggies have an ERA that's 7.40 in the SEC. So should we expect a lot of runs this weekend?
Maybe not. Maybe not tonight. Hopefully, I mean, I'm all for offense, but I don't necessarily want a 4-hour game. I think the pitch clock. Hey, yay for the pitch clock! I think it's done great for college and pro ball. But A&M's won 4 straight conference series, which is good. But they haven't done it against Vanderbilt, and South Carolina, and Arkansas. They've done it against, I think, Missouri, Ole Miss, Auburn, and Kentucky. And if any SEC win's a good win, but Arkansas has obviously been struggling. But 4 straight road games, which you don't see Arkansas doing that a whole lot. Playing, obviously they play conference road games, but then coming back and having a non-conference road game. So I think getting back home will probably do wonders for the Hogs. I know that hopefully this rain's going. It looks like the rain's going to move out, maybe 90 minutes or so before the game, or maybe earlier. And so I think they'll be able to play tonight. And the crowd won't be as good as it usually is because it's Thursday night and the weather's not good. But hopefully it'll be a good crowd. And I think just getting home and it'll be good for the Hogs. And you have Hunter Holland, your ace, going. And he didn't have obviously a great outing at Georgia, but it wasn't horrible, And I think he's going to give you a good start, give Arkansas a good start, and then they may go to Hagen Smith. That's been their formula if they can get ahead. And then, big Tigers in some capacity. I don't know if he'll be the quote opener and throw a couple innings, or be a closer or a middle guy, or what'll happen, a bridge guy. But they're going to get him back, and that's big news. So yeah, it's 2 teams. They're right there in the middle. A&M's 9-9, Arkansas is 11-7. So A&M's breathing down Arkansas's neck, and Arkansas needs to try to get a little more distance between them and the Aggies.
Bob, I saw this today. Is Darion Ford gone? Will he not be an Arkansas Razorback? Because I from what I see, I like the kid, and I think the kid's going to be successful. And sometimes it just doesn't work out, and I don't know where he's going to go. But what are your thoughts on Darion Ford and where he ends up?
Well, yeah, he put out there that on Twitter he's entering the transfer portal, and did the usual thank teammates and coaches and all that. And I know not too long ago he had the video of himself. I think he was riding a horse, right, back to Fayetteville.
Yeah.
And I think the portal is made off-season roster movement very, very fluid. And kids can say they're coming back and they want to come back. And, I have not talked to Darion Ford, but it seems pretty clear to me he wanted to come back. But there's only 13 scholarships they have to juggle, and we see Arkansas adding a lot of guys in the transfer portal, and maybe they're not done. And we know even if they hadn't added anybody extra, I think they were one over scholarship. Now that we don't know what Devo Davis is going to do. We don't know what Jordan Walsh is going to do in terms of if they're going to keep their names in the draft. But something had to give on that roster, and there must have been conversations between Darion and Muss and the coaching staff. But Darion's a guy, I think he's a great kid. Didn't really get to know him real well, but he seems like a great kid. Physically, very impressive looking physically, very strong for a guard. I think he's a real talented player. I know he had a great high school career, and so I think he can definitely go somewhere and play and help somebody. But it's just tough the way Eric and that staff is recruiting and bringing in experienced players. And clearly Eric likes to play experienced guys. And so the pattern has kind of been, if you come in as a freshman, don't play a whole lot, you look at Chance Moore. KK Robinson, unfortunately, got hurt as a freshman, or he was playing a fair amount before he got hurt, but, KK left and now went to A&M, and now he's moving on again. So, unless you play a fair amount as a freshman, it's hard to move up on the depth chart, so to speak, at Arkansas, because they're bringing in so much talent in the portal every year.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines, including the latest player reports for this year's pro basketball playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. Basketball, MLB, NHL hockey, right down to UFC and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games you can play right from your home. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.